My in-laws try to control everything from my wedding to my husband's bank account. Now, I'm drawing the line. Even at the very beginning of our relationship, I 25F and my fiancé Kevin, 27M, knew we were going to get married one day. We weren't discussing it much with anyone else at the time. We had a long-distance relationship and I would stay at his house on weekends sometimes. At that time, he lived with his parents because they needed help. My fiancé's job sometimes requires him to attend pro American football games to SH Moo's clients. He had a game to attend on a weekend I was visiting, but I was planning to go home Sunday before the game since I had other plans. When those plans fell through, we decided that I would stay at the house while Kevin and his father Barry went to the game, then we would spend more time together after. He had been planning to take his dad for a while since his dad is a huge fan of the team. I personally don't know how American football works and don't care to, as I don't like it. I'm also extremely uncomfortable being out late in a crowd or in loud environments. I have PTSD anxiety. My fiancé knew I wouldn't want to go to the game, so he made no plans for me to attend. Saturday, while we were out doing things, his parents, Barry and Belinda, kept texting him, insisting that I should go to the game instead of Barry. He explained that I wouldn't want to go, but no matter how many times he said it or explained why, they kept insisting. When we got home later that day, all four of us talked. I explained multiple reasons why I didn't want to go. They still pushed. If I said I didn't like football, didn't know anything about it, or wouldn't enjoy it, they dismissed it, saying I would because we'd be in a suite and it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Eventually, I became exhausted and left the room to cry. This should have been a red flag about his parents. He was finally able to get through to them, and the next day they went to the game without me. He did say how I explained it wrong to them, how me saying stuff along the lines of his dad would enjoy it more than me who doesn't like football made them think I was just being nice. Well, I said many other things to make it clear I didn't want to go. I honestly think he shouldn't have tried to correct me about how I was telling them I didn't want to go. He should have handled it after they didn't take me saying no the first time. I barely knew these people. I shouldn't have had to beg them to take me at my word. While I was at the house, I mostly stayed in Kevin's room while Belinda watched TV in the living room. We briefly talked when I went in there, but not about anything significant. I didn't feel comfortable mentioning the type of engagement ring I wanted to his mother because this was only my second time meeting her. That would have felt very weird to me. My fiancé and I had discussed what kind of ring I wanted, and I told him I preferred a gemstone ring. I like the colors rather than just a clear diamond. A week or so later, Kevin and I were texting about rings, and he insisted on a diamond because that's what he thought I wanted. Due to past abuse, it's hard for me to voice my opinion, but I trust Kevin, so I told him what I wanted and expected him to honor it if he wanted to be my husband. I didn't ask for a diamond, but I wanted someone who cares about my voice and listens to my wishes. With my past abusive situations, I didn't get a choice or voice. Still, he insisted on a diamond, saying that was what I wanted and that I wasn't telling him. We went back and forth for hours, and it was draining. I have no idea where he got the idea that I wanted a diamond. He eventually told me that I had told his mother I wanted a diamond when we were alone and they were at the game, but we never even discussed rings. Why would she make up such a lie? That is so weird and manipulative. Why would it matter to her? Wouldn't she want him to get the ring I wanted? That's the weirdest lie ever. There have been many times in our relationship that his parents have belittled my choices or promised things and then gone back on them. He says they are busy dealing with family problems, so I should just get over it every time they let us down. I'm dealing with similar issues with my own family, but I still try to fulfill my promises to people despite this. Even though he uses their busy schedules as an excuse for their failure to follow through on promises, Belinda still wants to help plan the wedding but has never reached out to me. I was just trying to follow proper wedding etiquette, which I was taught means the mother of the groom should reach out to offer help if she wants to. I also thought, if they can't even do the little things they promise, how can they help plan the wedding? Kevin and I have been living together, and sometimes after work he visits his parents. Every time he comes home, our wedding plans change. His mom gave him a list of things to remove from our wedding registry. She also doesn't like the suit company I picked out, blah blah blah, so many things she doesn't like. She wants to send wedding announcements with the registry information to people who weren't invited to the wedding, which I think is terrible etiquette. When she finally reached out to offer help, it was in a group text with Belinda, Barry, Kevin, and me. I tried to find something for her to help with that wouldn't be too overwhelming for her. I asked her to help me pick out flowers for arrangements. I was very specific about what I didn't want and what I was looking for. A few weeks later, she showed me floral arrangements with only the things I had said no to, and they were her favorites, something I didn't know until Kevin pointed it out. After I texted her about the flowers, she brought up another issue with the wedding, hymn singing. Congregational hymn singing is a part of my faith tradition and it's done at every wedding. Though I'm a new convert, it's one of the most important aspects to me. We aren't getting married at my church because my fiancé didn't want to go through the required premarital classes. He's shy, and his father, who is ordained, will officiate. That's important to him, so I compromised. I specifically found a venue with an organ so there could be congregational hymns singing. We actually had a fight a few days before because Kevin mentioned this to his parents and they didn't like it. When he came home, he tried to talk me out of it, but I stood my ground because it's important to me. He realized this, so after some back and forth, Kevin told his parents we would be singing hymns. I thought the matter was closed, but here they were, bringing it up again through text. The way they brought it up threw Kevin under the bus and made him sound stupid. They basically acted like he mistook what I wanted and didn't tell them right because there is no way I could want hymns. They said people don't sing hymns at weddings and that it would make the environment uncomfortable. After more rounds of back and forth, and with Kevin standing firm on our decision saying, "We have discussed it at length, this is what we are doing, it's very important to her that we do it this way." His mother responded with a message that started, "It's a mistake." She went on to rant about how our wedding would be a train wreck. Kevin texted her one-on-one afterward because he thought her message was unnecessary and uncalled for. She also scoffed at the idea of wedding programs, saying they don't exist and are only for funerals. So apparently no one sings hymns at weddings, wedding programs don't exist, and it's perfectly appropriate to send wedding announcements with registry information to people not invited to the wedding. Got it. Sorry, this story is all over the place. I tried to leave out other issues with them that don't involve the wedding. It's always one thing after another and I just feel stupid and not good enough. Even my opinions and likes aren't good enough for them. I'm worried about the future and how they'll try to micromanage, dictate, and judge our future family and our decisions. Update: we got married in December. We had hymns. Everyone sang the one they knew, but no one knew the second one. I had a suspicion when I chose it that no one would sing it, but I wanted it anyway. I'm still glad I had it played because it means so much to me. His parents made me worry about the hymns the entire time, but I'm fine with how it turned out. I had made peace with the fact that, when I decided to have hymns, no one might sing at all, and I was okay with that. I was just worried the entire time about an "I told you so" from his parents. It wasn't fun. People need to learn to mind their own business. I don't remember what started it, but before we got married, we had another argument, probably about his parents, which are the only thing we argue about. Maybe I shouldn't bring up old stuff, maybe that does indeed make me the asshole. All I remember is that we started talking about the situation with the engagement ring again. What drove me crazy was that he said something along the lines of not wanting to call me or his mother a liar because he didn't want to choose between two people who both loved him. I was so upset that he was fence-sitting and didn't believe me, even after all that time. Maybe that makes me the asshole again because I want him to take my side. I really just want him to believe me when I'm speaking the truth. To me, it's about trust. We worked it out, but that was a big issue for me. Whenever his parents have caused a problem, my now husband gets upset when I bring up all the past things they've done because he doesn't see a pattern. The only reason I bring it up is that I want him to put his foot down once and for all and notice the pattern. He has yet. The morning after the wedding, he brought up another criticism his mother had of me. She didn't like what I said when they asked how my dad was doing. It wasn't disrespectful, it was just the truth about my dad. Maybe it's a cultural thing, but it's not derogatory in my family, it's just a description and an accurate one at that. I would never talk crap about my dad. I love him, he's one of my favorite people. My husband said that if I say it again, his mother said she's going to confront or correct me about it. That tells me that when they ask how my dad is doing, they genuinely don't care, they're just saying the things they feel obligated to in normal conversation. It's rules for thee and not for me, though. From the first day I met them, they've nonstop trashed and talked badly about their daughter, even when I didn't ask about her. They would just go on tirades about her, airing all her business, and they were angry as they spoke. Hate-filled is the vibe I got. They even did this in front of their grandson, their daughter's son, who they have custody of. He is little, but that shouldn't matter. I guess next time they ask about my dad, I can either just say what they obviously want me to say, he's fine, which isn't true and I'm worried, or say what they don't like and let her go off. Then I'll tell her how I feel about them talking about their own child. Anyway, I was upset about my husband bringing up his mother's criticism the morning after the wedding. We couldn't even be married for a full 24 hours without me hearing about how his mom had yet another problem with me. He did apologize, but it just shows that I can't say the right things to satisfy them, and he wonders why I'm so nervous and uncomfortable around them. I also didn't appreciate this conversation about my dad because, right after the ceremony, my dad had to leave since his pants ripped. I didn't get any staged photos with him or time with him at the reception, and that was devastating. Months before the wedding, my dad had a serious medical issue and almost died, so I traveled to my hometown to see him. After only a few days, he was barely out of the hospital at that time, maybe still in. his parents texted me and asked me when I would be coming back. I was not happy with this and texted my so to ask him why his parents would be asking me this. He was not happy when I told him this. He said that he had just been messaging them before they messaged me. They had asked him when I would be back and he told them, I don't know and I am not going to ask her so that she doesn't feel pressured. He did say after he told them they shouldn't have messaged me that, I did feel pressured by them. I guess that's what they wanted because no one can be that stupid. Oddly enough, his grandma has been friendlier and more welcoming to me than her own daughter. His grandmother calls me on the phone every once in a while to talk, and we usually talk a lot. His mother never does. He has basically told me that it's up to me to extend the olive branch and call his mother. I think typically the parents or in-laws should do that. Really, after everything, I'm supposed to be the one to do it. Seriously. His parents often won't come out and say what they want, whether it's good or bad. Instead, they just text something ominous like, we need to have a talk. Then, when asked multiple times what it's about, they refuse to say, I don't like that. Once, after waiting all day to find out what they wanted to talk about, I got emotional. His mother was rude and exclaimed, oh my God, rolling her eyes at me. I just don't see the need to play games, just say it. If it's not something super heavy and maybe even if it is, just spit it out. I don't want to sit around all day wondering if they have a problem with something. His dad even did this just to have lunch one day. It's weird. I told my husband to put his foot down about this stuff, but he just shrugged me off, saying that's just how they are. Their dog has bitten me more than once and has lunged at me several times. Whenever I played with my now nephew at their house, that dog would follow him around constantly. The first time the dog bit me, I was holding my nephew, playing with him in the middle of the living room. They were all in the room as well. It bit me on the leg and I felt pain and let out a scream, not knowing at first exactly what happened. The dog has dirty teeth and doesn't have its shots. It has bitten several people, including kids. Whenever I act nervous around that dog, his mother looks at me like I'm crazy and tells me the dog won't bite me. She acts like I'm being ridiculous. But it has bitten me and others before. Why wouldn't it bite me now? My in-laws have always been difficult, but lately it feels like every little thing they do just sets me off. I tried for months to build a good relationship with them, even pushing my husband to invite them over, but he always had excuses. First, it was the lack of a dining table, then it was that they didn't feel welcome. Funny, since we never eat at a table at their house anyway. Meanwhile, my parents made do without a dining table just fine. When they finally did come over, instead of spending time with me, they took my husband out to lunch when I physically couldn't leave the house. It's not a huge deal, but it stung, especially since they complain about not seeing me enough. They did offer to help with wedding expenses, but after the drama over the hymn selection, they stopped including me in any conversations. My husband relayed their offer to buy tableware and drinks, but I had already picked everything out. I debated whether to let them handle it, knowing it wouldn't be what I wanted. In the end, they only got some of the tableware, forgot part of it at home, and refused to get the drinks I specifically wanted, and the alcohol issue. They made such a fuss about it that we ended up having it, even though I didn't want it because of certain family members. Ironically, none of them showed up anyway. Then came the ice debacle. My mill insisted I demand the venue provide ice, despite me telling her multiple times that the venue wouldn't, and that there was a convenience store 30 seconds away. She just wouldn't let it go. She also randomly bought red floral centerpieces, even though my entire wedding theme was blue floral and she had already complained about my blue bouquets. My friends think she did it to be petty, but honestly, I just feel bad she wasted her money since they got trashed right after. Now the bank account issue. My husband still has a joint account with his mom and she does his taxes. He asked if we should file jointly or separately, and while filing together makes sense, I don't want her anywhere near my finances. If he insists on letting her handle his taxes, I'll do mine separately. And yeah, maybe I'm being harsh, but it bothers me that she still has access to his account while I don't. That needs to change. The bigger issue, my husband grew up bending over backward for them while his sister got unlimited chances despite being a former drug addict and dealer. He sees it as just the way things are, but I wonder if he's suppressing a lot more than he realizes. At this point, I'm exhausted. They make me feel ashamed, embarrassed, anxious, self-conscious, and not good enough. They stress me out and make me mad. I'm worried about this stuff happening when we have kids. I'm different than them, our family will be different. They need to stop trying to dictate and let us be because nothing we do causes problems for us.